Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Very happy to welcome Kelly Monroe to the program today. She
Hi.
is an actress, a model, a singer, an entrepreneur, a lady of many talents. How you doing this morning, Kelly?
Ooh, what an intro. I'm doing
Yeah,
wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're here to talk about your new single out, Mama Said. Um, Fantastic tune. I got to tell
Thank
you,
you.
first time I saw the title, I thought of the Lenny Kravitz song.
I know everyone does. Uh,
But it's
I actually I had totally forgotten about that song, to be perfectly honest. And I was like, yeah, let's just call it Mama Said, because it's,
yeah,
obviously it's about all the things she used to ramble off to me.
yeah.
And then once it was out, I was like, oh, I went to search and I was like, yeah, okay. There's like 4 different titles for that. But hey,
His
it's
tune
okay.
is actually called "Always on the Run" is the name of the song. That's the
Ah,
name of his song, but the whole chorus is "My Mama Said" thing. The name of the song is "Always on the Run."
that's right. That's right.
So
Okay.
you
So I
did
actually
you did good. You
I
did
did
good.
good. It was inspired by Lenny.
Well, in a way, in reading the background of it all, with what he's saying and what you're saying is sort of two of the same, what his mom said and what your mom said.
Yeah.
Um, I take it this sort of came together quickly though, this song.
We banged this out in about 10 minutes. It's
Wow.
hilarious. Yeah, this musical journey has been such a process and such a joyride. It's like
Mhm.
just so manic up and down and all around. It's been really, really cool. But kind of through COVID, I decided to start expressing myself in a different way because I couldn't freaking, you can't work in TV and film. So what are you gonna do? And your voice is always accessible. And I've always been absolutely terrified to sing. And I had this epiphany, kind of this come to Jesus moment during COVID. And I was like, I'm gonna just start writing lyrics and singing. So went down to Nashville. I was in a music video about 15 years ago for a group. I don't know if you're familiar with Lone Star
Yeah,
country band.
yeah.
Yes, so they're good buddies of mine. And Dean Sams, who actually put Lone Star together, I called him and I said, hey, I was in that music video a long time ago, and we've stayed in touch over the years. He's a great
Sure.
dude. And I said, I think I'm ready to like light a little fire under my ass and start singing. And he was like, come down here as soon as you can. So the minute the bar lift on Travel, I went down to Nashville and co-wrote my first song. Mama Said is actually not the very first song I ever wrote, but this is the
Okay.
first one I put out. So
Sure.
it's been kind of fun because ended up meeting Sinclair, who is just the most gangster of producers. She's female.
Okay.
She is probably one of the more musically inclined people I've ever met in my life. She can play like 14 instruments.
Hmm.
She's kind of the like female Pharrell, I've been calling her.
Okay.
She's got this little swag to her and she's on it and she really understands me. And we vibe. She's like a sister. So Mama Said was the first one that we did together, and we've now since done 9 songs. So
Wow.
yeah,
So there's an
it's
album coming.
there's an album coming. We're gonna
Awesome.
drop some singles for a little while and
Sure.
get some momentum, and it's cool because I'm kind of crossing. Everyone's like, well, what's your genre? And I'm like, well, it's funny you should ask because it's kind of like me as a person. There's
Yeah.
so many parts. Well, all of us really. I mean, there's so many parts to me that I'm like, I'm gonna drop some southern rock. I'm gonna drop some pop. I'm gonna drop some fucking reggae blends. Like I'm just gonna do it all. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be really fun. It's gonna be fun.
Now, in reading about you, with all the things we mentioned that you've done, singing never really came up in too much of your background. In my research, at least, had you
No,
done much? Be it church choir, chorus in school, anything?
I had never sang in my life.
So you just
No,
opened your mouth and this came out.
it actually, the best way to describe it is so musically inclined family. My brother is actually an incredible musician, amazing
Okay.
singer. And it was always his kind of thing. I just was always, I don't know, I found the other side, like the camera thing
Okay.
with TV and film and commercial. So I kind of ran with that. But one thing I came to terms with during COVID is when I started kind of jumping into all this, I was like, oh my God, I actually was ear training my whole entire life.
Mm,
And just because I didn't sing doesn't mean that I wasn't preparing because I was listening to my brother every day
okay.
and listening to his music every single day. So, you know, of course, growing up, like music saved me, you know, to be honest. You know, we've all got trauma in our childhood, but my dad left when we were young and we now have a great relationship, but that was a journey for me. And I just remember music was always my escape, you know? And hearing my brother, I had ears that whole time. And, I came to terms during COVID. I was just like, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm just going to fully express myself. And this is just another part of me, you know? I already have 5 jobs and I do 5 different things. And it's like, so this is just another piece of me, just expressing myself in a very fun way. So it's very cool.
Very cool. You also learned piano during quarantine, correct? Anything you had ever done before there either? Or you just decided you wanted to play piano?
No, I okay, do you want the real story? Can I tell you the real story?
Yeah, I want the real deal.
All right. So I was single during COVID, and I still am single right now, but I was really fucking depressed, and I was like trying to figure it out. And I was having a hell of a time trying to get through this, because I was on, you know, this is another thing that people don't realize. I was on lockdown in New York when all the looting, all the fires, all the crazy shit was going on. Right. That was like 4 blocks from my apartment. Wow. So I'm inside to the point where they literally are saying, like, don't leave your place. And when the groceries are delivered, they deliver them down the hallway of your apartment. It was the most crazy shit I've ever been through. But so one night I was just like, you can only watch so many shows and Netflix and do so many things. And so I ate some chocolate mushrooms and I went on this like internal journey, and I laid on the floor and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what do I do now? Because everything that I was getting, you know, we fill voids with external validation, right? And when you're go in life, you don't slow down enough to really look at what's going on in our worlds. And COVID gave me the opportunity to do that, as it did everybody else. But I remember laying on the floor and I was like, what part of me am I hiding? Like, what part of me am I hiding that's making me feel sad? Yeah. And I heard this voice. It was almost like my internal little girl talking to me. And she said, you know, I want to sing. I want to write music. And I was like, okay, I guess that's happening. So I sat up and I've been writing in journals my whole life. And so I went and pulled out some journals and started reading some of the entries that I've written. And they were just lyrics right on the page. I just had never seen it in that way before. Sure. So that was, in fact, Wide Open is the very first song I ever wrote. And I co-wrote that with Dean Sams from Lone Star. And straight out of a journal entry. So, so you know, the lyricist part, I'm really passionate about. To answer your question, I ended up getting a keyboard the next day delivered to my house, like an electric keyboard off Amazon. Right. And I just started kind of playing around on that. And I'm working at it. You know, piano is a lifelong love affair. It's not easy, and it makes you really work for it, you know, but it wants to be played at the same time. So I'm creating this really great relationship with the piano. And I don't know, I've never felt more aligned with myself than I have with singing. It's been the greatest. It's one of the greatest loves of my life. I mean, it's been beautiful. So.
Very cool. I believe you on the piano part. You know, I sit around and I'm thinking, man, I've always liked that Eagles tune, Desperado. I wonder how they play it. You know, of course, you can go on YouTube and watch somebody play it. And you look at it and it sounds so simple. But then you watch what they're doing. It's like, oh, my God, no way. You know?
I love that song. God, I love that song.
But you sort of answered my next question, too, is how you came to, I had to sing about how you were quoted as saying you're fully aligned with who you were born to be now. Yeah. And, you know, it's such a process, you know, at times. And it takes too many times it takes getting to the point where you were. A lot of people get to that same point. You just hit bottom. There's no place to look but up. And you find your way, you know. I mean, I've been there, you know.
Yes. And, you know, it's really interesting. It's a little heady and you kind of got to wrap your head around it. But, you know, I'm really passionate about this new notion of like the places where we hide, the places where we, you know, we all know where we hide, and I can't ever answer that for someone else. But if you really look at your life and you go, okay, what areas am I hiding in? I believe that that's your greatest gift.
Yeah.
And if we can find our way into that, those nooks and crannies of the shadows, right? All the shadows where we just don't want to really be seen. I actually think that that's our greatest blessing. So it's been cool for me, because now that the cat's out of the bag and I've got, you know, 10 songs coming out, and I'm committed to this process now, you know. And what's interesting is now there's going to be crossover with film, which I'm so happy about.
Yeah.
And I'm actually writing a lot now for film and TV placement. So, you know, having that background, it's really easy to create a song almost to a motion picture. It's very cool.
Yeah, you've got that whole sort of both sides going there. Yeah.
I do. Yeah. So it's going to be really fun. I mean, everything's just now getting really exciting. But you know, now that I'm beginning to express myself this way, I'm like, oh shit, like I was probably giving myself, like showing myself probably 30% of my capacity. And just now I feel like I'm sharing, you know, almost 100% of myself, which is really beautiful. So
which, you know, as I'm sitting here thinking, this just sort of popped in my head. A lot of times when you're acting, you're sort of playing a role, you know, right? So you're sort of playing that person. But with your music, you are being you, and you're portraying yourself.
yes.
So yeah, I totally get that now. That's got to be quite a contrast in your life.
Oh, it's such a contrast, but it's so liberating and it's so freeing. And yeah, because I think there's this undertone of, like, you know, someone asked me the other day, well, why did you want to be an actress in the first place? And my honest answer, since I was literally 14 years old, has been, I love telling stories, and I love getting to know someone's life. Like I did a made for TV movie about Anna Nicole Smith, right? And I got to know her life, and I just wanted to do her justice, and I wanted to share her story with the world. And that's always so fun. But again, you're somebody else, right? And you don't get to, there's a longing after every film you do. It's like, it's almost like an unsatisfied itch. You're like, that felt good, but like, I think it felt good. Like, and now I want more of it. And with music, it's like, this is fully me. And then when you put the song out, there's such a sense of satisfaction that, you know, and the major thing I've learned about this process is, like, I'm so grateful for anybody that listens, that anybody engages with me, like, forever grateful. And I also I don't really care, like in the sense that I'm doing it for me and it feels so good. And so the outcome doesn't really matter. It's more about the process for me, and like being in it and writing and being by the fire with a guitar and writing, and just that energy around that. And then going up to the mic and putting it into the microphone. It's like all frequency and energy. And it's just amazing, because it's like, and then it goes out into the world. And then once it leaves you, it's just kind of, it's not yours anymore, you know?
Right.
You just create it, and then it goes on its way, and people can either love it or hate it. And either way, that's okay, you know? Yeah. So that's been really fun.
I want to talk to you about a little bit about the video for Mama Said. Were these people, like, say that in the beginning, the couple fighting and the little girl, were those people that friends that you might have known, or were these actors and actresses that got cast, or how did that whole come about?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I decided to, again, with my background, I decided to cast this whole thing. And the casting notice I put out, I just said, you know, seeking an arguing couple. And then I was really on a mission to find a little girl that looked like me as a child, because I wanted that to mirror kind of my little girl.
Sure.
And, you know, New York is a really big place, but it's also very small. So the dude that ended up playing the arguing couple, they were actually a real couple, and they were friends of a mutual friend of mine. So that was really cool. And then the little girl, Charlotte, she was amazing. And that was her first time to ever act. So she wasn't necessarily an actress, but I just found her. And I said, do you want to be in this video? And then the coolest part is all those mothers and daughters. I was really passionate about doing like a female empowerment piece just around mothers and daughters. And, you know, so many like singers and actresses, there's nothing wrong with it, but like, you try to be sexy, you know, in a video, and you try to, and I was just like, I don't want to come out of the gate like that. I want to, you know, there's moments that I obviously hope translate as somewhat, maybe a little sexy, but I wanted these really just precious, cool daughters and mothers. And so everybody in that video, they did it for free. They were there the entire day with me. And these little girls, I mean, it literally brings tears to my eyes. These girls were so happy to be there, and they were so inspired, and I was so inspired. And, you know, in between takes, we would talk about their dreams and what they want to be when they grow up. And it was so powerful just to see those mothers watching their daughters, watching their mothers and me. It was just like that. That's the shit that, like, that's what I want to be doing in music, that kind of stuff. And it was such a beautiful day, and it like really touched my heart. And I'm really grateful to all those people. It's really cool. And I kind of knew, I was like, there's just something really special about this video. And I don't know really what it is. Maybe it's just the beginning of my introduction of like really showing my soul, but like there was just something really magical that day. And you know, I think this morning it hit, like, I've been glancing at the numbers because, again, I'm trying to just stay out of that part, but I think it has like 36,000 views or something.
Yeah,
like
I've been
that.
watching too. It's climbing fast. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. So, you know, and again, that's just such a reminder that, like, our job in life is just to be our most authentic self and express, and then after that, it's like just it's done. It's just out in the world, you know. So,
yeah. I got to ask you, whose apartment was that you were in with all the music memorabilia, those album covers on the wall? You're sitting around the corner of the couch. You got a wicked picture of Keith Richards right over your shoulder and everything. Is that your place? Or?
That's my apartment. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's so funny that you say that, because that's the number one question that people have been asking me. So back at like a while ago, before I started any of this, I've always wanted to be an interior decorator. And then I wanted to do set design. And so it's just kind of funny because when I put this whole video together, like, we shot, you know, I did all the shot lists, and I was like, oh, well, got the apartment situated because that's my spot and it's already done. But, and then like the little record room, you know, I created that a couple years ago, like right before COVID. So yeah, that's all my shit.
Awesome. Awesome place. Now,
thank you.
The dinner scene, I can promise you, if I ever have dinner with you, I will not pull my phone out. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so actually that was a kind of an acquaintance of mine. Like, we're not super tight friends, but he's super, you know, he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
And he just is one of these guys that, like, plays the douchebag so well. You know, he just plays the, like, you know, you can tell he used to be a womanizer, and he's just, so I was like, hey, do you want to play this role? And we had a blast doing that scene. And I said, I'm from Texas, and I'm not one of these, you know, I'm all about the vegan life. That's great. But, like, I eat meat. I will always eat meat. And, like, I'm a Texas girl. And I was like, I always had a dream of, like, doing a music video and, like, taking a steak and, like, eating it with my teeth. And I was like, I'm doing that. I'm writing it in. I'm going to figure it out. So, yeah, we had a blast during that scene. It was like, he's like checking his watch on his phone. And I'm like, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was fun.
And then the other part, that I'm a guitar solo guy. The guy that played the solo in the video was really, really cool. Is he the actual guitarist on the song?
He is an actual guitarist. And again, this is the magic of New York. I sent a casting out the day before, and I said, hey, looking for someone to play guitar in this music video. Will be about a 10-second spot. And this dude wrote back. There were so many people that responded. And I said, just to be clear, there's no pay. This is my first music video. And, you know, Cortland Alley, I don't know if you're familiar in New York, but it's a very famous alley. And everything we shot that day, free, just free. Wow. Like, that's how magical it was. We went in the alley, and of course it's got, you know, all the people have graffitied, and there's just all sorts of crazy stuff in that alley. And the energy there is just insane. And yeah, he showed up and just ripped. He had listened to the song the night before, and he was just playing over the music and just ripping. And yeah, it all came together. It all came together. It was very cool.
And then the last thing I got to tell you about this is funny. Where I work, I was showing one of the guys I work with the video. I'm like, hey, I'm going to interview this chick tomorrow. You know, this is going to be pretty cool. And I'm showing him the video. And when all the guys show up at your door with the flowers, the candy and stuff, he's like, Yep, that's what I'd be doing too if I was going to take her out. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me show you the end, you know? And at the end where they're all cleaning and doing everything, goes, yeah, I'd probably do that too.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell them thank you.
Was,
Yeah, I wanted to put some, some humor in there just because it's like, if you're gonna spoof the whole, it's like, okay, it's like a, blonde female, whatever. It's just like, I just wanted it to be super stupid. It was great.
That was fun. That was when the first time I watched it, I just laughed out loud. I was, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, perfect, right?
Shooting videos, is that any different at all from like acting? You're used to being on a soundstage or wherever. Was there anything about a video shoot that was different at all?
No, I mean, except that I had full discernment over everything, like full range of opportunity, creativity. And so that's my favorite part, right? It's like the singing is new and like that's a journey and there's going to be ups and downs, but like acting is that's my core and that's what I'm most comfortable in. So to be able to take a song that you recorded and wrote and then create a storyline to it that I get to produce and direct and execute on is like the best feeling. Yeah. It's the coolest feeling. And so yeah, I mean, it's it's similar to acting in the sense that there's you find an amazing DP, and in fact I shot my second music video yesterday. I'm in Nashville right now. Okay. And we had a blast. I mean, it's so fun. But again, I wrote the whole story and created all the shot lists, and we just take it one step at a time. They all turn out magical. It's been really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's travel back in time a little bit. You grew up in Texas. You had your older brother. You talked about how your dad left at a younger age. You were very athletic in school, played a lot of volleyball, I read.
Yeah. I played junior Olympic volleyball.
Really? That's amazing. And then you started modeling at 14.
I did.
How did you fall into that?
Oh, it's funny. My whole life, I just, when I start thinking about something I want to do, I just become a little obsessed.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, okay, I've always thought outside the box. I've always been thinking outside the box my whole life. And I remember even at 14, I was like, I want to start working like immediately, but I don't want to like work. I don't want to work in like a grocery store or a restaurant. Like I want to figure out a way to make money, but also just not work. And I remember flipping through a 17 magazine and I looked at my mom and I said, I'm going to be in this magazine in 1 year. And she was like, okay. Because, my mom, if you ever talk to my mom, she'll laugh because she's like, anything that this child has put her mind to just happens. And I submitted a Polaroid to the Campbell agency, and Nancy Campbell in Dallas was the owner. I think still is. She's so great. And they called me in like 3 days later. And before I even went back to meet with her, she came out into the lobby and she touched my arm and she goes, we definitely want you. We want to work with you. Just give me a few minutes. And I was like, okay. So at 14, I signed with the Campbell agency, and 9 months later, I was in 17 magazine.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
I used to skip school to go do shoots, and I'd like go do a JCPenney ad or this or that. And so I made enough money to help put myself through college. And then in college, I started doing, film and like 3 independent films at the University of Texas at Austin, and then moved to LA. And that was kind of the beginning of my process. So.
Wow. And I read along your journey, you got to have a sit down with Shirley MacLaine.
Oh God, yes.
That must have been amazing.
That woman. Oh, she is just so magical. I ran into her. This is the shit that happens in life. And you're just like, oh yeah, that's weird. I was talking to my mom on the phone, driving down PCH in Malibu. Yeah. And this is when I lived out in LA. We had just talked about the movie The Evening Star with Shirley MacLaine all the cast of Steel Magnolias. And I was like, okay, you know, we're talking. And I said, okay, Mom, I'm going to just pop in here and get a coffee and like maybe get like a slice of pizza, because they had this like really cool little pizza spot in this Malibu little nook.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll talk to you later. Hung up the phone with her. I kid you not. I'm big about manifestation and like really putting positive energy and prayer into like things that I want.
Yeah.
And I just sent this kind of morning meditation prayer up about, you know, acting. And if it's not supposed to happen, like, let me move away from it and this and that. And
yeah.
I walk into this little bougie pizza place. It's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at the bar and I look over and I see Shirley MacLaine sitting in the booth. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was just talking about her.
Yeah.
And so I let her enjoy her meal. Obviously, I would never get up and go say hi or anything, but she's one of the OGs that she's so amazing. And so I just sent over a little tiny like chocolate dessert, and I was walking out the door. So I had sent it, paying my check, and I was walking out, and she goes, "Hey," and I turned around and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
She said, "Did you send this over?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "Bye." You know, I just wanted to leave her alone. And she goes, "Come over here."
Wow.
And I went and sat down, and I sat there for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and she dropped the deepest spiritual bombs on me I've ever. She just told me, she looked at me and she said, "I'm going to tell you 2 things." She goes, "I don't even know what you do, but there's something about you. You're going to need to know these 2 things." And keep in mind, I had just journeyed in here on my own with no. She said, "You're going to need to learn that your number one fan your whole life is going to be you. And even if you only have one fan being you, that's going to be more than enough."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And she also told me, she said, all the rules, just throw them right out the window. She said, "I have never taken an acting class in my entire life. Not one. And here I am today." So she said, you've got it in your mind that, you know, and again, she's just talking to me. She knows nothing about me. But she's like, "You've got it in your mind that it's supposed to be a certain way." And she's like, "You're blocking yourself." And I was like, whoa. I was just sitting there like, and you know, of course I'm walking out and I've got a slice of pizza in a box. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? What? I just walked out of like a dream sequence. It was amazing, you know? And I got her publicist's email, and we've stayed in touch. And you know how this works. It's like full circle, right? Like her publicist I'm gonna meet her someday, and she's gonna come back in, and it's all gonna make sense. But
yeah, definitely.
This is how life works.
Yeah. We've talked about, you know, you're acting here a little bit, you're singing and stuff. Now, as a married man with a wife and a father of 2 daughters, I've got to ask you about this entrepreneurship with this. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I have a feeling I'm going to butcher it. Buste?
Buste. So I actually changed the name to Held.
Okay.
Held. Yeah, Buste was the original name, and it's been 5 years in the making. Long story short, 10 years ago, I went to a wedding. And again, always thinking outside the box. I didn't have a strapless bra, and I was wearing a gown. Sure. And I'd worked out that morning in the gym downstairs, and I was like, ding, 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 a light bulb went off. I go down to the gym. I get the exercise bands, you know, the kind that you step in and out of.
Yep.
And I cut it into a sweetheart neckline, and I wore it as a bra underneath my dress. and of course it's rubber, right? So it's not the most comfortable, but I felt so good all night. It just it felt great. So I started kind of doing research, and in a past life, you know, we haven't even dove into this. So this take more hours, but I was got married at a very young age. We're still really good friends, but I was in Santa Barbara, and I was in the medical field. So I was doing pharmaceutical sales and med device sales. And I went to one of my doctors that following week, and I just said, "Hey, I wore this, you know, band underneath this rubber, basically. Is there anything that's like more skin safe that I should consider? Because I want to make this bra." And so after doing a lot of research, I decided to use medical grade silicone sheeting. And basically we perforate it and roll it out into like literally a cookie sheet, and we make a bra out of it. And it's the most comfortable bra ever. And so it's been filed patent, got all the intellectual property done on that, just changed the name, trademarked it. And so now I'm working with a company in Sri Lanka, and we're at the very end of research and development. And then we're going to start designing and putting out everything from sports bras to everyday wear bras to bathing suits to leggings and the whole thing.
Did I read you went through like 98 prototypes or something like this of this thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show it doesn't always, you got to stick with it, right? You know?
You got to stick with it. I mean, my mama said, she always used to say, overnight success takes 20 years, right? And she said, don't come bitch to me about anything until you're 15 years in. And then I'm going to tell you to do it for 5 more years. And then we can talk. And, it's amazing because I think about all these legends in music, and, all the legends, I think the number one thing we hope for in the music and film industry is just longevity. That's kind of the dream. And every interview I've ever read, everyone I've ever talked to, the ones that have been around a really long time, they said, I just didn't stop. I just never gave up,
Yes.
And I don't think there's anything more to it than that. I think it's really that simple, and we try to overcomplicate it, but like, it's a numbers game, right? And it takes time for people to digest art and to really connect with art. And, especially for the younger people out there, it's just like, I think the biggest thing is just to keep creating and just keep going. And now that I'm just getting started, and it's really fun because, I hope to be doing this for a really long time, but the key ingredient is nothing more than, it's like, there's only one of us, there's only one of me, and I can only do what I can do, but the joy in it is just the longevity of it, right? It's like, you just keep doing it. It's great. So.
Exactly. And like I say, they didn't stop. I talked to one other musician a while back, and he talked about how he was constantly getting calls to guest appearance on different albums and different things and stuff. And he started turning them down a little bit, and then his phone wasn't ringing. And he was talking to a friend about it, and he says, well, they're not calling you for you to say no. They're calling you for you to say yes. If you start saying no, the phone's going to stop ringing,
Yeah.
The whole networking thing, like you said, with Schilling Clay's publicists, you just keep that circle going,
You just keep it going. And like, it's also such a, I don't know, I'm really connected to this whole energy concept, right? And like, it's all currency, and it's all exchange of energy, and all art is, and creativity, it's just giving energy and receiving energy, right? And I just believe when you keep that frequency going, whether it's giving it or listening to it and engaging with it, it creates love and it creates inspiration. And so, yeah, I mean, how are we supposed to, it's like, I always think, if I'm not doing this now, like, how am I supposed to show the world who I am, And like, I think we all not only want to be seen, but we also, one thing I've learned during COVID, everybody wants to see, like people want to get to know you, and they want to engage, and they want to, it's been so beautiful, the amount of people that are like genuinely interested, and even youth, and thank you for giving a shit, right? But it's like,
absolutely,
people are really inspired and want to connect, and human connection is so powerful. And it's why we do the arts, right? It's so we can all feel love and feel connected. And I'm having a blast. It's so fun.
And that's a cool thing. I've said this in a lot of interviews. The amount of accessibility you have to people nowadays is just so over the top, because I think everybody's realized that's what you kind of have to do. And the analogy I always give is, imagine it being 1971 and I somehow can finagle an interview with Jimmy Page and say, so Jimmy, you've got this new song, Stairway to Heaven. Tell me what you were thinking. It didn't happen back then. The curtain was drawn back then. And, some people say, well, that was a part of that was cool, but it's even cooler now to draw the curtain back and let everybody see the real person, and see what you've been through,
Yeah, I agree. And, it's also, I think there's so much humility and power in it too. Just like, I mean, I'm only, I'm a woman in my 30s, but man, I mean, I've already had like 9 lives. And so I think to keep it real and like just really tell people, especially these younger girls, like, you know, it's not like I just snap my fingers and this has happened. I mean, it's taken me a long time to get to this place, you know? And so I think part of my message is just going to be like, we really can do anything. We can do anything we put our heart and mind to. And I think as long as you stay at it and you stick to it for nothing more than yourself, just to show up for yourself, it can be really rewarding, you know? So.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you know, you touch on a really good thing, how much work you've got to put in, you know, like in the beginning of this interview, we made it sound pretty easy. You sat down with this person from Lone Star, you wrote the song and everything, but peel the layer back. Okay. You're young, you do that video, you know, you put your time in, and then you reaped the reward from it. You know, it took a little while, but in the end, you reap what you sow, you know, basically.
Yeah. You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And,
but if you hadn't put the time in back then, you might not have had this opportunity now, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, you gotta chase your heart, right? You gotta really chase your heart. And, you know, you gotta identify what it is that makes your heart sing, you know, that really moves you. And you gotta chase it. You gotta chase it hard. And you gotta just go get it, because no one's gonna hand it to you. And it's like, I mean, for example, I'm in Nashville right now, you know. I've been working my tail off in New York. You know, I fit model on the side and I'm hustling. I've got all these side jobs. I help put people into treatment for addiction and mood disorders. I do all sorts of stuff. And, you know, here I am in Nashville, and it's like, you got to get a place to rent, and you got to get a car, and you got to drive your ass to the producer studio, and you got to go do a co-write, and you got to go. I mean, you got to make it happen for yourself. And, you know, this is the 14th time I've been to Nashville, and it's never easy. It's never easy to get here. I got to get a flight. I got to bring my dog. He's sitting right here. You can't see him, but you know, it's like, people are like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, because the joy of executing and expressing myself and getting it done it outweighs all the things that are difficult, you know? And so I just keep running towards what my spirit is feeling like really happy in. And that's all I need to know. And the rest will fall into place, you know? But I definitely feel, I don't know, the trajectory of my heart is very aligned. It feels really good. And it's exciting too, you know?
Right. Yeah, definitely. You know, it's like Tom Hanks said in a league of their own, you know, it's supposed to be hard, you know? If it was easy, everybody would do it, you know?
Exactly. And, you know, I also just think, you know, we're all really gifted. I think actually Jay-Z is one of my favorites. I think he said it, but you know, we're all genius at something, right? And even in that, you know, I think, am I the best singer in the world? No, but there's genius in the way I'm writing my lyrics, because it's coming from me, right? And there's genius in my approach to it with my background and everything else. So I think we've all got that thing in us, you know, that we can unleash and especially when you're called to it. You know, that's the other thing I will say, like, when you've got that calling in your heart, like, so many people don't listen to that whisper. And I think the thing that really separates the greats from not is just all they did was just listen to that whisper and followed it, you know? And it's all there. It's part of that shadow thing we were talking about earlier, the parts where we hide. When you hear that whisper, you know, if you just start to go towards it, it will show you where you need to be. At least for me, it did. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we talked about, you've got, you know, a bunch more songs ready. You shot your video. You've got other stuff ready. An album in the future. What between now and then? Are you going to be able to go out and do any live dates at all? I mean, COVID's wreaking havoc everywhere. Have you even attempted anything? Or are you going to wait? Or what's next for Kelly Monroe?
We are going to. I've got a film coming out in January, which is really exciting. I think I'm going to stay in the pocket. So I'm just going to keep stepping up to the mic and recording. And when the live shows come, they're coming. I know they will. I'm going to be fully ready for that. And I don't have anything on the books yet, but I'm thinking probably the first quarter of next year is when that will probably be more realistic to do. And then from now until then, I just did a co-write yesterday. I'm doing another co-write. So I'll probably have about 3 or 4 more songs by January done.
Wow.
So I'm just going to drop those singles every month And you know, the best piece of advice I got from a good friend of mine who's a rapper. He's a really well-known rapper. And he said, girl, all you got to do is stay in the pocket. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, it goes back to what we were saying. It's just not giving up. Right. And
exactly.
So many artists go in and they go hard and it either works or it doesn't. And then they pull out. And then it's like, well, what? You were just getting going. Like, why'd you stop? You know? Yeah. And so I just keep reminding myself that it's like 3 or 4 weeks go by and I'm like, okay, I got to stay in the pocket. Like, that's all you got to do is just get back in there. And so that's my goal, stay in the pocket.
Have you done any type of live gig at all with your singing at all, anywhere, doing anything? My question is, how is it going to differ you being a front woman in a band live at a show as opposed to being an actress on a soundstage? You know, again, I guess you're playing a character and then you're playing yourself, but I mean, I'm curious about your approach to that, you know?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, look, I think the number one thing is I've learned to trust myself, you know, and with that, it's like, you know, I was terrified when I first started singing in the microphone, when I first started recording. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it translated, right? Like, so I don't care if you're singing live or you're in the studio, but like when you really learn to trust yourself and you trust your voice, it sounds good. Just that simple, you know. Right. And I finally trust myself with it. So, you know, whether it's on stage in front of 3,000 people or 10 people, or I'm in my house with my dog singing by myself, like I'm ready either way, because I finally like know what I'm doing now. So awesome. Yeah.
All right, Kelly, I always like to end up with some fun, silly questions. I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked before. Does that sound good?
I love it.
What is a food you like better as a leftover than freshly cooked?
Oh, that's so easy. Thai food.
Thai food. Okay. Yeah. Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Oh, favorite toy growing up as a child. I think I was definitely a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Okay, very cool. Nice. Household appliance you can't live without.
Household appliance I can't live without. Oh, my French press coffee maker.
First car you bought with your own money.
A Ford Explorer Sport.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm kind of curious. You may have an answer to this one. You may not. So I'll throw you a mulligan either way. But you're a sports girl, so I'm betting you probably do. And from Texas. Favorite old school wrestler? And I think I know who you're going to say, but I'll let you say it maybe.
Well, obviously Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
You know, I never really watched wrestling or watch wrestling. Like, obviously that's what everyone would say, but I don't want to say him because that's what everybody would say. So,
I thought being from Texas, you would say one of the Von Erichs.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, one of those guys.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, they were like rock stars in Texas back then.
Yeah, they were total rock stars. There are so many ballers that have come out of Texas. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. The list is crazy of people that have come from Texas. It's nuts.
Given your choice of household duties, would you rather do dishes or the laundry?
I love actually doing both. I'm going to say I'm going to say the laundry just because that's such a weird question. Okay.
I told you these were ones you would never ask before, you know?
I like it. You know what? No, I'm going to do the dishes because it's therapeutic and I get to like kind of hum while I do it. And it's more therapeutic for me than doing the laundry.
Couple of musical ones here. If you could have like a walk-up music that came on every time you walked into a room, you know, like your intro music, what song would you pick?
Ooh, Dreams.
Dreams. Very nice.
Yeah.
What was the other one I just said? Oh, okay. This should be interesting. Go. Yes. No, you were going to say something?
No, I have another one too, but I'm just going to run with that one.
Okay.
I overthink these questions.
If you could pick a television show to have one of your songs placed in, what show would you pick?
Ooh, great question. gosh. Wow. Okay.
You're really thinking this one.
Like, can it be from the past?
Sure,
No?
sure. Anything. Yeah, you can, place it in a rewind. They're all syndicated.
Yeah. Hmm.
I can't wait to ask you my next one now if you're pondering this one.
I have like 50 million answers in my head. I mean, it's just, oh God. I mean, there's just so many, like, I want a show that would do my song justice, and then my song, I want that to do the show justice. And it's just, there's so much going on in my mind. I would say, I mean, probably, I can't even think. God.
I think the number one answer I've gotten on this one was Ozark.
Yeah, I mean, I just scanned that in my mind. That's not it for me.
It's so dark. It's very dark.
It is dark. I would want like a feel good, but intense show that's kind of, also like a cool, like Entourage and Billions would be kind of cool actually.
Yeah.
Because it's like vibey, but also kind of relevant. The show Nashville would have been cool.
Yep.
Then you've got like Friend. You've got all those shows from the past. I mean, let's go with, I was on the TV show Billions, so let's go with Billions.
Okay. Last one, and I can't wait to ask you this one because you have played so many roles. If they were to do a biopic of your life, what actress would you pick to play you? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Oof. Now?
Yeah, sure. Or,
because my answer would be very different at 75 and 30. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would say, again, being younger, if I was like in my later years, I would do like Julia Roberts or somebody amazing like that. I have like Sharon Stone energy. I love Sharon Stone, but younger, like now, I've always loved Rachel McAdams. I think she's great.
Yeah.
Or maybe actually Anna Lynn McCord. We kind of look similar, but I don't know what her personality is like, because I think it would take somebody kind of weird to play me.
No, not at all. It would take somebody very I'm looking for the right word. I don't want to say like multi-talented. I'm thinking of like all the stuff you do, and the first word that comes to my mind is industrious. You are very that's just, I'll go with that. That's the word that comes to my mind. You're not one who rests on their laurels. You're moving forward, you're trying, you're going, and everything,
Thank you.
Very, very cool. Kelly, this has been a hoot. I've loved every moment of this. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Same. I really appreciate you like wanting to talk with me and getting to know me, and it's very, very honored. Thank you.
Absolutely. Kelly Monroe here for Let's Discuss with Lancel. You can check out her latest video, Mama Said. Now, you just shot your second video. When is that one coming out? She's still in like production or anything, or?
First week in November.
First week in November. All right. We'll look for it then.
And it's a very feel-good post-COVID song.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Kelly Monroe, once again, you can find her everywhere, and we'll look for your new Held product as well. When is there a timeline for that to come out soon?
Oh God, at this point, probably the end of next year, I would assume.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, some more time, but when it does drop, it's gonna be great.
All right, I will get my wife and daughters into it immediately. So
thank you.
Kelly, take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lance. Bye.
Bye-bye.